So after learning about Vincent van Gogh and his super famous painting Starry Night, we are going to recreate his technique and create a Starry Night cityscape. So the first thing we want to do is we want to write our name in pencil or white crayon on the back of your blue sheet. And then flip it over like usual. This gets our name right on the back. For this painting, we're using acrylic paints, and I've got a water cup and a paper towel nearby for when I switch colors. So Vincent van Gogh used a technique where he used different strokes of his paintbrush to create movement within his art. So we are only going to use the same colors that Vincent van Gogh used, which is our greens, our blues, and a little bit of yellow. So mostly cool colors and then a splash of that warm yellow. First thing we want to do is we want to start with one of our blues, and I'm going to do the light blue to start. And we're just going to start painting in little loops and swirls, just like Van Gogh did. Yes, you can see that my paper is blue, but that'll be okay because we're going to mix in the other blues as well. So I'm just doing little curved strokes with my paintbrush. You can see how I'm kind of just flicking my wrist a little bit to get those strokes in there. Then I'm going to clean off my brush with most of this blue, and I'm going to grab the next blue, and I'm going to do the same thing. When we do this, it's okay to layer that paint because it's going to naturally blend and mix with the blue that's already on the paper. So it's going to start to show like these mixes of this swirly blue, which looks really, really nice. So I'm going to fill up my entire page. If you'd like to do bigger loops and swirls, almost like the letter E, you can do that as well. And you can see where my blending is happening between my light blue and my dark blue. And I'm just looping and swirling to create that movement in this background. Perfect. Once my blue is done, I'm going to go over to purple. And I'm going to do the same thing. You can also see too where I'm applying different pressures with my paintbrush. And what I mean by pressure is I'm pushing harder or I'm pushing lighter to really fill up and blend those beautiful colors together. This piece and background will also be abstract. We've talked about abstract before as well. So it's not going to look like anything in particular just yet. Beautiful. Then I'm going to switch to green, my last cool color. And I'm just doing the same type of brush strokes, letting those colors blend on the page. And you can start to see where this is really starting to look like the backgrounds that Vincent van Gogh would do in his paintings. Beautiful. So I'm going to clean off my brush and switch to my cool color, which is yellow. And I want to make sure my brush is really cleaned off because I don't want to mix it in the palette. So I've got my yellow, and I'm just going to do the same little flicks. This really creates almost a highlight and a fleck of that brightness within your background. And you can see where my yellow is blending with my other colors because my paint is still wet. Voila. And then the last color we're going to add as a highlight is our white. So this is a little bit of an extra step. So with this, I'm going to do little highlights very similar to how Van Gogh does it. So what we were able to create is movement using these paint strokes and these colors for our background. When your painting is done, you're going to pick it up like a pizza and bring it over to the drying rack. So next we're going to make the city part for our skyline for our Starry Night city. So using white crayon and a black sheet of paper, we are going to make a bunch of horizontal and vertical lines. Starting in the middle on the skinny side, I'm going to make one horizontal line and then a vertical line. Another horizontal, another vertical. You can make these different lengths and different heights because it's going to be a city. Another horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, and then all the way to the other edge of the paper. Next, what we want to do is we want to cut on that line that we just made, making one big cut. You can see how I'm using my helper hand and turning my scissors to get that one big cut. Perfect. So there's my big cut. Since my crayon marks are on this side, I'm going to flip them both over. You can come up with a couple of options here. You get to decide. You can use both of these city lines, or you can use just one. You could also layer one on top of another. I think I'm going to use both just because I like the way it looks, just like this. Next, using metallic markers or white crayon, you're going to create the parts of the buildings that you would like to incorporate. So this means windows and this means doors. I'm also going to really define my buildings by drawing vertical lines. However you design and create your city, you can really come up with your own designs. So I'm just going to add my windows and my doors. Since I've got two here, I'm going to design the parts that you will actually see. So I'm going to do some detailed designs in that background part of the city. Perfect. Now my designs and windows details are done. I'm going to take my top piece and I'm going to glue it to my bottom piece. Lining up the bottom. Then I'm going to take my whole piece and I'm going to glue it to my background. Lining up the bottom. Pressing down all that glue. And voila, we have a Starry Night inspired cityscape.